All right, all right. I'm ready. Oh, she's back. She's like a banshee. Hey guys, Daniel Sapp here, tech editor at Pinkbike. We're here at my home in North Carolina, and today we're going to take a look at the all-new Cannondale Scalpel. The Scalpel has been a mainstay in Cannondale's line for almost 20 years now. It first debuted in 2001 as a funky, futuristic looking XC race machine. It had 26-inch wheels, a lefty fork, electronic lockout suspension, and a 2x drivetrain. People that loved the bike were all over it, and it developed quite a little bit of a cult following between professionals and amateur racers alike. The latest version of that bike was the Scalpel SI. It featured a ton of Cannondale's proprietary technology, including their AI offset rear end and lefty fork. The version that we're looking at here today has even more changes, completely new suspension design, and some other details, so let's dig in and see what's going on. Stiffness and weight are so much at the forefront of cross-country racing. You know, riders have to be able to put power down, get up to the top of the climbs the fastest, and so a stiff bike that's lightweight meets that criteria. So balancing the expectations of a stiff and lightweight cross-country bike while still advancing the design of their suspension, the engineers at Cannondale decided that the 4-bar horse link design was the best way to get the most performance out of the bike. There was a problem with that, and it was the weight. The solution, Cannondale's engineers decided to go with a flex pivot. We've seen flex pivots on a lot of bikes before, but typically not as much with the 4-bar design, and typically they're also in the seat stay, not so much the chain stay where this one is. Now they're quick to point out that while it looks like the entire zone flexes, it's actually a very precise location that moves, and that's where the pivot is relegated to be, and that's about halfway through the whole zone. And with the bike only having 100 or 120 millimeters of suspension, it's a very small arc that pivot moves through, and that's something that's easily handled with a composite structure. Now, what are the benefits to this design? Well, it's lighter for one. You also don't have to worry about maintenance. Cannondale's team used a unique blend of carbon fiber in order to make the area flat and broad. They say this stiffens up the rear end, and it helps them get their performance that they're wanting out of the frame while still achieving a weight of about 1,900 grams for the frame and shock. Cannondale's utilizing size-specific suspension kinematics for each different size of the frame. Their hopes with this is that any rider, whether they're on a size small or a size extra large, as long as they're on the correct size bike, are going to benefit from the way they've designed the suspension and have a similar ride experience to one another. The new Scalpel has a 68-degree head tube angle, a 74.5-degree seat tube angle, and 436 millimeter chain stays. On a size medium, the reach is 435 millimeters. If you look at the Scalpel SE, like we have here, it slackens things out a little bit. So you're going to be a degree slacker in the head tube angle, and that's at 67, a half a degree slacker on the seat tube at 74 degrees. Chain stays are the same, 436 millimeters, and the reach is 5 millimeters shorter. Okay, so there are a few other neat features on the new Scalpel that are worth noting. Thinking of cross-country racers and those who want to have everything accessible quick, especially in the case of an emergency or a flat, Cannondale have engineered their own on-frame storage stash system, and it's right here below the water bottle holder. It has a fabric multi-tool, a Dynaplug, and a place for a CO2, so you can quickly access that. If all that weight is just way too much for you and you'd rather, you know, checkers or wreckers and you're going to walk out if you're going to get a flat, you can pull that off and just put a plate in there in place of it and forgo the necessary tools that you should take with you on a mountain bike ride. Another upgrade from the last iteration of the Scalpel, the SI, the new Scalpel has upgraded hardware in all locations. The hardware makes the bike easier to service, it's a little more durable, and less maintenance is required to keep it running. The frame has internal cable routing throughout. The rear end has tube-in-tube routing, but that was a big weight penalty for the front end, so they just kept it as internal routing on the front end with ports that are big enough that you should be able to easily access it. Cannondale also utilizes their AI, which stands for Asymmetric Integration System, and what that does is it shifts the drivetrain and the rear hub 6 millimeters to the right. Cannondale does this because they claim that they can get a stiffer rear wheel, have more tire clearance, and it's a better system for their bikes. With that, you do have to take into mind compatibility issues. If you're looking to swap out chain rings or different wheels on the bike, you're gonna have to be very careful about what you do. You may have to have something that is specific for this bike. Not just anything at any bike shop is going to work. Additionally, there's Cannondale's quick release through axle system in the back, where it just threads into the drive side, so it makes it quicker to get the rear wheel off in the event that you do need to change a flat. And lastly, but not least, there are 2 water bottle mounts. Standard for any cross-country bike these days, and perfect especially for marathon racers and those looking to go longer distances. All right guys, thanks for watching. That's the new Cannondale Scalpel. If you have questions, drop them in the comments below. We'll be sure to address them if we can. And we're doing a little bit more testing on this bike. We have one headed to Squamish, to the office there, and the crew up there is going to be putting it through the ringer and comparing it along with another few bikes in the same category in a little mini field test in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for that, and yeah, we'll catch you next time.